G'day legends and welcome back to another episode of Chasing Better with Knoxy. As you can see, I have another amazing guest. Today we have the wonderful IGA owner from Austin Lakes. So if you are in the area, make sure you're going to get all your food from there. They have some eggs, not all the eggs, so get in quick.
Do not go to Coles or Woolies.
Yeah, don't go to Coles or Woolies. This is an official don't shop at Coles or Woolies, especially if Karen is in the vicinity. She will hear about it somehow and she will find you and she will kill you. So that's cool. Anyway, so if you haven't already, guys, make sure you go and check out the other videos when you get a chance. We've had some amazing stories of transformation, weight loss, strength gain, rehabbing broken bodies, which is really, really cool. So make sure you go and check those out. They are inspirational, they are motivational, and they may just be the one thing that gets you to take that first step towards your own path to better. And who knows, you may end up working with me as your coach down the line. That'd be fantastic. And you may end up being my next success story, which is really cool. So, Karen, welcome aboard. Are you nervous?
No.
Fantastic. As you can imagine, as a busy business owner, she does a lot of work in the community through IGA. Tell us a bit more about what your kind of lifestyle is being a business owner.
My life is very busy.
Yep.
But it's good busy, not bad busy.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got 2 kids. One still lives at home, so I'm still a mum. I've got 70 staff. I try and train now 3 to 4 times a week, so I fit that in.
So you actually have kids, but you have 70 kids.
I have 70 kids. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do actually. I tell them that quite often. So, yeah, that's nothing new. Yep.
Yep. What sort of stresses and things, if we kind of rewind back to when you first or before you started with us, what are some things that you were finding were kind of crap about your day? Now, obviously, you've got the stresses of being a busy business owner.
Yep.
You're a mum, you're a wife, all that sort of stuff. What are some of the things that you were struggling with from a health and lifestyle point of view before you got started with us?
So I was probably struggling with more the thought process of finding the time to come to and do something like this for me. But I got to the point where I realised I wasn't getting any younger. The stress wasn't getting any less, so I had to deal with it a different way.
Yep.
And guess who popped up in my Facebook feed?
Ah, this guy.
This guy.
Yeah, I've got a face for radio, but that's okay. No, that's really cool. So obviously there's a bit of a theme there because we had a chat with Leona recently, one of our other awesome members. Again, business owner, busy mum, but we can see that this general pattern of not only mums but dads as well, when they become parents, their own health and lifestyle kind of becomes second fiddle because you've got to make sure that the kids are awake and alive every day. You got to make sure that they're right for school and all of their daily activities. And then for you, it's like, well, where do I fit in, right? Then you throw on board the fact that you're not just working a day job, you're running a day job essentially, and then you're also managing all these other people. So the really cool thing there is we can see that it is a common trend, but what was kind of going through your head day one when you came in to have a chat?
That I had to make some major changes.
Yep.
I had to make a couple of major changes in my life. Firstly, to my overall fitness and ability to handle stress, and secondly was that although I didn't know how instrumental you'd be in it at the time, was a need to stop drinking, cut down alcohol.
Yep.
And that's been a major part of my life.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So with the drinking side of things, again, I always have that initial conversation, and you probably remember, I'm not your dad, but I can be someone that can have just a brutally honest conversation with you about the topic. Because some people, when they're ready for it, they need to hear it. What was kind of your biggest takeaways about that initial conversation on the booze side of things?
On the booze side of things, I think I don't think there was actually an initial take. I think it was more a slow burn. So it was, some may call it nagging.
Yeah.
Because you can be quite persuasive over time.
That's what I do.
Yeah. So I think it was the more getting over the mindset of making the time to come in here every day, and then speaking to you more as a one-on-one. Particularly with you saying, right, how many drinks did you have last night? Did you train yesterday? What else did you do? That sort of thing. And then gradually, as that built, the mindset built that, hey, I can do this. So I can do dry July, and then I did dry August and sober September and blah blah blah. So it wasn't necessarily an instant take. It was more a keep trying and a slow burn.
Yeah, cool. So the reason we've had that sort of approach to it with Karen, for example, is Obviously, she, being a business owner, it's very easy for her to have KPIs or key performance indicators for anything to do with her business. Staff results, sales results, profit margins, all that sort of stuff. Her life from a business point of view was on track for superstardom. However, when it came to me asking her a few questions about how many beers did you have last night, how many wines, all these sorts of little KPIs from a health point of view and lifestyle, she had no idea. Right, and there was a general feeling of, oh, well, it might be a bit of this, it might be a bit of that. But when she kind of looked at, you know, what did you do for the last 7 days, she openly, honestly couldn't tell me. And the great thing is we just started with, okay, sweet, on the board, we're just going to write down how many drinks she had last night, and we're just going to see how consistent that number is. Does it rise? Does it fall? You know, are there any days where you're not having any already at the moment? And we started to look at the fact that it was, you know, kind of a nightly occurrence. And then we looked at the fact that it was more of a finish the day sort of mentality.
It's a crutch.
Yeah, and it becomes this positive outlet, so to speak. But the great thing is she'd started to train consistently. You started to see improvement in the physical side of things, but you were still feeling a little bit probably run down from the booze being in the system. Yeah, so from an overall kind of wellness point of view, we weren't quite hitting the mark.
On top of being a menopausal woman,
Yep.
you know, so you're not sleeping anyway. With the booze on top of that, the stresses of the business, and then trying to fit, you know, everything else in, it was pretty big.
Yep, cool. The initial cutting down of the alcohol, dry July, how did you go? Give us a bit of feedback as to what you kind of went through, both physically and mentally, attacking that.
So I was in a very good position in my head as to that it was something I really, really, really wanted to do. And obviously Dry July is you know, social media and so on. There's a big push to do it, so there's a lot of people around you doing it as well.
There's accountability without it necessarily
that's right. They knew you. Yeah, that's right. As I said, I really wanted to do it, and I think I was ready. So actually, after the first week, it was easy. I felt so much better. I was within 2 weeks. I was sleeping better. I think within that first month, I think I lost 3 kilos. I can't remember now exactly. And that was through not changing anything other than not having the booze. And by the end of that month, I was sleeping so well, and it was just such an instant improvement and fix that at that point, I felt I never, ever, ever wanted to have another drink. And would question why I'd always done it. And that's not to say that the want coming in from work wasn't there. It was, but very supportive husband, very supportive you. We just got through it with relative ease, I feel, but headspace was there.
Cool. So as we can see there, guys, probably one takeaway I would take from that is when you've got a supportive environment for whatever goal it is, whether it's a training goal, it's a business goal, a lifestyle habit such as, you know, alcohol or giving up smokes or whatever the case may be, eating better just in general. When you've got a supportive, nurturing environment around you, it's so much simpler. And I call it, you know, having a running mate. Now, again, it could have just been me that was your support base that whole time, but the great thing is that your hubby got on board with it. You know, he was obviously supportive, which is fantastic. I know that a lot of people try to do all their health changes or their journeys by themselves. It's just so much harder. And my general advice to most people when they just reach out for a chat to just talk about their health and why their lifestyle might be up shit creek or whatever, is, are you trying to do it yourself? And I said, the first thing is the reason they've generally reached out to me is they go, oh, well, I've seen your story better. I've seen your clients are going through similar stuff. They're getting results. And the one thing that seems to come back to is like, they've got someone to chat to about it. They've got someone who's already done positive health changes and all these sorts of things to kind of bounce ideas off. Why isn't it working for me? Okay, let's fix that together instead of, oh, the whole world's out to, you know, to stop me, right? And that's why a lot of people generally fall off the wagon, so to speak. And they find it so hard to get through that first week, the first fortnight, the first month, and so on. And then just continue on with just general good health habits long term. So the really, really cool thing there is that a lot of your discoveries, I didn't even have to ask you a lot of the general questions that I have to ask most of the clients when they are beginners and things like that, because a big thing I've found with, especially not just ladies, but guys cutting down on booze, especially if it's a nightly occurrence throughout the week, FIFO guys go through this a lot as well, is they just start to think a bit clearer. The day becomes a little bit more focused. You know, they're getting through training sessions better. They're recovering, like you said. You start to your body just feels different again.
It just feels better.
Yeah, and again, it's like you also start to have these sort of blunt conversations with yourself, and you had a few with me where you're like, well, I don't actually see a point why I do it every night. Like it's now no longer this incessant need. Yeah. It's more of a, oh, well, if I do happen to go out on the weekend, I might have one or two with dinner, or you know, it's a birthday party or something like that, but you're not feeling this incessant need to go back to these bad health habits.
Well, that was actually something else that you really did help me with, because one of the things you said to me when I first said, look, I've got this occasion, if I just have a glass of wine, does that mean I'm drinking again? And you said to me something along the lines of, you're not looking at it the right way, you're not asking yourself the right question. The question you should be asking yourself is, why am I having this? Am I having this alcohol because I've had a stressful day? You know, such and such has pissed me off, you know, this has happened and I'm coming in and reaching for a glass of wine, or am I having a glass of wine because I'm in a beautiful environment with my husband, we're celebrating a wedding anniversary? Why wouldn't we?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's actually how I actually address things quite a bit now, is asking the why rather than just doing it out of habit.
Exactly. Awesome. And that in itself was a lot of growth that can happen when your brain's just thinking clearer. And things like just general exercise, just moving a little bit more, getting outside a bit more, you know.
Sleeping better.
Yeah. Banging on about, you know, people that are stuck in office jobs all day, right? Like when you're locked in with four walls and a roof all day long and you don't get outside, you very quickly start to fall into all these other bad habits as well. So, yeah, great thing there, guys. We've seen some awesome improvement. What's some of your biggest wins from a training point of view in here since you've been with us?
I think getting confidence in myself again that I can do it is a big one, but then just slowly seeing the creep up in the weights and so on that I can lift, and just feeling stronger in myself. Yep. I think is great, and I get I suppose also the frustration I feel when I find it difficult to go to that next level makes me want to drive to do it a little bit more. Yep. So I certainly feel better within myself. I know that I'm feeling a bit more flexible, I'm feeling stronger. And you know, again, being slightly older than some of your clients that come in here, when we do retire, you know, we've worked really hard to have a good retirement. I want to be able to do stuff, you know. I don't want the body to be breaking down, you know. I don't want to have the ability to be able to travel and do these wonderful things, but I can't physically do it. Yeah, 100%. You know, I want to have a great rest of my life.
And I mean, that's all I can ask as a coach. You know, I've had members come and go. They've obviously learnt stuff under my tutorage, whether it's the training side of things, whether it's the nutrition, the mindset, whatever it may be. But the cool thing is that I know I've had a great effect, and not to blow my own horn, but it's really powerful to see and hear that message of like, I can see myself doing this long term. Even if for whatever reason, if you know, move to Sweden next week and we're like, cool, I can't train in person, I know I've still got all these basic health life skills now that I can continue on, so to speak. And it kind of reinforces that message that, you know, better health and fitness doesn't have to have an end point, which a lot of people see it at as eventually initially. They go, oh, well, I've lost my 5 kilos, now I can stop, right? And that's where it's like, no, it's just a general maintenance and upkeep sort of way of looking at it.
It's a way of life. It's not a start and stop.
Yeah, and that's really cool. So, yeah, that is an awesome message, I think, to finish on today, guys. So as you can see, Karen's gone from zero to hero. She's absolutely crushing it with the training side of things. We're seeing improvement across the board. Her message about the whole alcohol thing was a really cool thing to touch on today. So thank you for being open with that. That's really cool. I know that is a touching issue for a lot of people out there, guys. So if it is something that you are struggling with, I have heaps of ways to deal with it in small incremental changes, as we've seen with Karen here. And again, there's heaps of other different stuff we haven't used with Karen that may work better with you as well, which is really cool. So if that is something you're struggling with, guys, make sure, drop us a message. If you've liked this, obviously chuck a like and a subscribe on the video, guys. And we'll see you next time in the next video. Thanks, Karen. Big things ahead. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
All right.